Okay.
I would like to call our meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. And take your hand off. Good. Okay. I pledge. And if possible, if you'd like, we could probably get a tape of the meeting for you to keep for the future. Mr. Vanner, you can take care of that, right?
Yeah, we still have that technology, I hope to. I'll leave that to the technical people
Okay.
to make sure they get, get the copy.
Okay. All right, let's, the roll, please.
Belkey,
Here.
Belzak,
Here.
Clistic,
Here.
Kenny,
Here.
Marquez,
Here.
McIver,
Here.
Shower,
Here.
7 present.
We have a quorum. The next item is questions, comments, and announcements of a general nature. Do any of the aldermen have comments of a general nature? Then I'd like to open it up to the floor, to the audience. Does anyone in the audience want to address any item? It doesn't have to be something on the agenda, but if you would like to address the city council at this point, please come forward. Then we'll just move right on to the approval of the minutes of May 16th. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Clistic. Any additions or deletions for the clerk? The roll, please.
Shower,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
McIver,
Abstain?
Marquez,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 abstention, equals 7 ayes.
The minutes have been approved. The next item is receiving of communications. Do any of the aldermen have communications to share? Alderman Marquez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I got an email from Dan Hardman, who's a resident of Ward 5 over on Sawmill Creek, and Dan's email I passed along to Paul and to Dan Gombeck, and Brian's read it as well. It involves electronic recycling. Bolingbrook has Groot as their waste hauler, and they're offering their Bolingbrook residents curbside pickup of old television sets and old electronic equipment, and it's part of their monthly charge. They call the day before and they put it out and they come and pick it up. So I just asked Brian and Deanna to find out if there's anything like that we could find out about our waste.
Well, I know
hauler.
Downers Grove routinely has an event like that over at their public facility on Curtis, I believe. I know I've gone there to drop off things, and I think that, didn't the library have one?
Doesn't the Downers Grove Township, their municipal service building, what's that, Quincy in Westmont, once a month, they do that, right?
Third Saturday of the month.
Third Saturday of the month?
So there are facilities around.
There's facilities. His comment was he's aware there's facilities around. He said, but when you go to one of these, you sometimes wait in line for 2-3 hours before you get up there where you can drop it off.
And Joe, I've seen some lately that really they're still not taking some of the TVs, even if they're a
Right.
regular drop-off center, a little bit older TV. They're just not
Oh.
accepting
Yeah,
those.
as of
So
January
you
16,
know
there
what?
was a new,
I think Best Buy.
disqualification for
I think
TVs.
Best Buy has to take.
Best Buy
if
doesn't no longer.
they're not
Best Buy-
doing it any
No,
longer.
it
It's
is
a new
no.
development for
Mm.
2016.
Yeah, because I went to Goodwill to drop something, and they sent me to Best Buy. But
And
now
not
you're
anymore.
saying Best Buy
They-
doesn't
Best
do it
Buy,
anymore.
because
Yeah.
I know I did that.
And the other thing is, some of them charge
Right.
for you to drop off stuff. And that,
So I
a
mean,
lot of them are
that's
charging for
This
TVs
is
now.
part and parcel of their monthly payment. You call on Monday, they come on Tuesday, they pick it up. And,
Well,
it's-
I'm sure that is figured into the fee that residents
it's
pay.
figured but I just was wondering what that would be in terms of an additional cost, or if our service would even consider.
Yeah, I think, that was a good point, and I mentioned Alderman Marquez that we would at least contact our current hauler who has our scavenger contract and see what kind of options this happens a lot of time when their competitors start getting creative with things, they'll follow through. So we were just gonna contact them and see if there's any options. Even if there's a cost option, some residents may prefer that than hauling some of these big old heavy TVs out to wherever, possibly they can get rid of those. So
Well, I had to get rid of a couple of, you've seen the blow-up air mattresses, that you can take along for trips and stuff like that. And I had 2 of them that developed holes in them, so I want to get rid of them. So I called our waste hauler, and they said, just put 2 tags on it, put it out. So I guess if you contact our waste hauler, they will make accommodations.
Same thing for electronic.
electronics is still its own animal because of the ban for the landfills. So something like a mattress, because it's a bulk item, they might take for more stickers. But the electronics, the problem is they can't just bring them to the landfills anymore either.
Right.
So it depends on the product, but we'll check into that.
Thanks, Brian.
The other thing, Brian, I believe this is the last year on our waste contract, so we'll probably be going out for RFPs for next April. So it's
yes.
something we can keep in mind and find out if it's a possible cost addition or something they could do as we go out for that.
Yeah, I don't remember it in the last contract negotiations that it was even offered then.
Well, at one point over since we've bid, the ban on these electronics came into place. At one point, you could still put your TVs out if they're bulk with a sticker or a little monitor. There was a time you could just throw those in your regular garbage, but until the ban of those items in the landfills came about, which, if I'm remembering, it has been over the course of our contract. That's what
Yeah.
made it more difficult.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll check into that. Thank you. Any other communications, Alderman MacGyver?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe Dan received this communication from a resident on Dartmouth Lane regarding the construction work on Manning in the residential development, that the trucks are coming in earlier and earlier, 6 a.m. They're parked and idling, and 6:30 on Saturdays. So I'm assuming
Our
that's been
ordinance is
addressed.
7 a.m.? Is our
On
ordinance
weekends, I
7?
believe it's 7:30. On the weekdays, I believe it's 6:30. I have to double check, but I think it's 6:30.
6:30 weekdays?
Yes. I'll have to double check that. I know Saturdays and Sundays should be 7:30.
Did someone talk to the developer about that?
Yes, I left a message. Matter of fact, I did respond to the resident, Shirley.
Yeah.
I did respond back to her. Again, I've told her before to please contact 911 whenever that happens, so, and I believe I had emailed also, carbon copy of the chief on that this morning.
Can they be given a citation if they do, or no? Or is just a warning in general, or how does that?
Basically a parking ticket.
A parking ticket right away? No questions, no warnings?
They've been warned already
Okay.
twice they've been warned
Okay.
via email, and we did send
We've
it
run
out.
into that problem with garbage haulers where one guy goes on vacation and the other guy comes in too early on his route.
Correct.
So I don't know if that's a situation there.
Well, they said that the men are outside, or the construction workers are yelling at each other. I mean, it's obviously, it's
Oh.
pretty early in the morning, 6:30 on a Saturday or 6 a.m. on a weekday.
That's too much. Okay. Other communications to share? Alderman Kenny?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a few, actually. I've got 2 off of, on the 7100 block of Walden Lane. Bill Lissy and Lisa Stella called in regards to Birchwood Park behind them. We have talked to Mr. Gonback. We've walked the land. They're concerned about the flooding and the upkeep of Birchwood Park. It's to the point where it's not usable. They have a backstop for softball, but you couldn't play baseball there if you wanted to. So the Park District was saying that they were planning on taking that out. That's those 2 parts of the communication. And then I got a communication from Dolores and Jim Senebogan, which I forwarded over to Mr. Gonback. They were really ecstatic about the 73rd Street curb and street repair and how that went. So, accolades to your staff again.
Thank you.
I've left a message for Ms. Stella. She hasn't returned the call, but I was talking to Dan. That's a complicated matter.
Right.
Yeah, and so that will be an ongoing subject matter.
Dan, is there any updates on that?
Matter of fact, one of the things that we're being a little more proactive on is looking at the outfall, which is referred to as a slope box. And just to summarize for the rest of the audience and the elected officials this evening, the area in Birchwood Park, there are several ponding areas. And these, they're low-lying areas is what they boil down to. And back in the 1970s, when Gallagher and Henry, either Gallagher and Henry was constructing the detention and retention facility, or prior to, someone had put in what's referred to as 4-inch under-drain tile. These under-drain tiles serve only to park, and they're designed to pick up these low-lying areas. How or why these low-lying areas were developed, really difficult to say. And one of the theories, if you want to say, is based on the plans. With the backstop in place, it appears that there was going to be an infield, a skinned infield for baseball as well as for softball. Now, someone can say that those pieces of the softball and baseball fields were slightly elevated and the under drains were installed to potentially pick up the overflow so they would dry out quicker for baseball season. With that said, we also were out there a couple times last week. I've directed our superintendent to come out there, and what we did find is one of the slope boxes did have some debris on there. That debris is basically an accumulation of grass clippings as well as leaves, branches.
And that's basically where the water leaves the park.
Correct. That's the outfall. It's where it all exits through the one, I believe it's a 36-inch pipe. Obviously, during an intense rain event, that water will still sit in that park for a period of typically 24, 48 hours. These low-lying areas still may have the opportunity to sit up to 72 hours because the under drains are not probably working at their optimal level. The way they've been installed, it doesn't follow any standard of today. So we, as far as the Municipal Services Department, have come to the conclusion that under drain is not our responsibility, as it does not serve the entire subdivision.
But Dan, as you were out there today and the municipal services were out there, once all that debris was removed from the out pipe, that low-lying area was dry today, as
Correct.
an example. So some of that might have been due to the higher water flow because of the outflow being blocked a tad.
And that's true, right? Also, we're gonna reach out to the Park District, see if they'll, try to be a little more proactive in making sure that that grate is cleared. Again, it's a very sensitive grate, and that's one thing we're gonna keep an eye on as well.
I was under the impression that they were going to discuss this matter at their last Park District meeting. Did you ever find out what was discussed?
I did not, and there was no additional response back.
Okay, all righty. Any other communications to share?
I just have a question for Dan, speaking of water. Was by Brookhaven a couple days ago, and that area by
Popeyes.
In
by
front of Popeyes?
yeah, it was still pretty flooded out. And that's so close to our new development, I'm thinking the optics of that are not favorable. Do you know what the status is of getting that rectified?
He's had what's referred to as a jetter truck out there on a couple different occasions. As of last week, the jetter truck was supposed to be out there again. My hunch, and again, it's only a hunch at this point, there may be a breach in the pipe from the county when the county did construction along Cass Avenue, so it's taken a longer time to drain. I know that Mr. Manos has spent significant amount of money at this point, as well as resources to determine the problem. So in other words, there's a pipe that leaves that detention facility fronting Popeyes and runs into the Cass Avenue system. It's taking water very slowly. As it takes water very slowly, it'll take it about 4 days to drain off, which is not right. So we're working with them. I'm not sure if he's cambered it yet to determine what the cause could be or what the breach is, but I'm working with them on that. I believe he's out of town right now. He's on vacation. I haven't been able to get a hold of him for the last several days, and last week I spoke to him last week.
The drainage pipe doesn't come from the Speedway property at all, does it?
No, it's directly in front of Popeyes Dead Center, and it's a reduced pipe, so it's definitely something to do with the outfall there.
Okay.
And since we're in that general location, like I said, you and I did talk about Popeyes, cut through, or pass through for Speedway/Walgreens. Do we know anything?
As far as the easement, the proposed easement, what we've been working on with Mr. Manos and Speedway is an easement, ingress, egress easement that will be on the most northern part of Brookhaven and on the northwest part of Speedway, so cars have the ability to come in and out of the Walgreens or the Brookhaven Plaza and back and forth in Speedway. While the agreement was basically at the 100%, 99.9% level, Walgreens, Mr. Manos realized that Walgreens has to review any type of ingress or egress movements or modifications, so it's currently at corporate with Walgreens on their review.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All righty. Let's move.
We had the one letter that Mr. May wrote. Mayor, I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up about the lights, or you can
You
bring
know,
that up.
it's David May. Some of you may be familiar with him. He's, I think he's on the foundation for District 61. Sent me a letter, Brian also. Oh, thanks. Regarding looking forward to, we need to do something to spruce up our downtown, what we have considered our downtown area, and get it into the holiday spirit. And he was thinking that we should be doing more, be more proactive with lighting in that whole area. And as we tried to explain to him, we had our city council was very divided on funding that. We as Brian explained to him, we do plan on doing some holiday lighting at the Darien Point Plaza on the clock tower in the fountain area. And then also we have landscaping coming in very shortly at the intersection. And also, I can't wait, and I don't know where those lights are, but the ornamental lights that are, street lights that are supposed to be going up. I know everybody's seen have seen the pedestals that are in the ground already, so I can't wait for the street lights to go up. So Brian addressed those items to David to help him understand that we are really looking forward to sprucing up that whole area for the holidays and going forward for all the time. So.
And he was discussing about putting music. Well, we do have the capability of putting music through the tower.
Right. Yes, we do. So I know that one of the businesses across the street at the building, the office building, wasn't too happy with even the chimes going off on our clock on the hour. So I don't know if the music would be very welcome, but we can use it for certain periods of time, I guess. Alderman Belke?
I also wanted to add that when this came up last year, what the council also decided is they didn't want to put something through without giving it a lot of thought. We could have crammed something in to decorate that corner for Christmas, but we all decided that let's have a more feasible plan and a long-term kind of look at that.
Well, Mr. May is suggesting we start doing it right now. So that was the gist of his
Christmas
letter.
in July.
Yes.
He is also indicating that the Chamber of Commerce should look in the businesses that get involved.
Well, absolutely,
And-
yeah.
And as that center does start filling up, I mean, that would
It
be
will
a
happen.
logical thing to look to, too.
Yeah. So thank you to Mr. May for his letter.
May I ask just one last question, and I apologize since we're talking about the center. Pro Nails, they've got their sign, they've got the permits up, and I don't see anything going on. Do we have any wherefore what's going on or hold up or anything along those lines?
Doing their build out right now.
Okay.
It's my understanding it's supposed to be open by the end of the month,
Okay,
so that's my latest understanding.
okay, thank you.
And the other business,
Lady Jane's or
no,
the other business?
The drive-through
The
one.
other business has, and again, it's the potential coffee shop, has recently asked for additional categorical, I'll call it the third categorical exclusions, if you want to say. It's in reference to a vapor remediation. So we're in the process of working on, not us, the developers in the process of getting the vapor remediation completed for that site. So we'll have it's delayed of another 7 days at this point.
And Dan, as we had the site cleaned and complied with the EPA, it's all in compliance. That just wasn't a regulation at the time. That's why the potential business had brought it up now as under the new regulation.
Correct.
Correct?
and I happened to notice that I think it's Randy Kodwicka is somebody very nicely took away one of the digits on the sign for his phone number. So would you let Mark know that he
Yes.
has to do that?
Yes. And there's some additional parties that are currently being negotiated with, so nothing of news to further fruition at this point.
Okay. Let's move on to the mayor's report, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to ask for a motion to approve the appointment of Brian Gay to our Planning and Zoning Commission. Alderman Marquez, seconded by Alderman Belke. You've had a chance to read Brian's resume, and I think he's supremely qualified to take the position. I feel very fortunate that I had two individuals that I was able to interview for the position, and I'm pretty excited about the individuals that are coming forward, residents of Darien, to get involved, and so I look forward to many more new appointments in the future. Any questions? Then the roll, please.
Marquez.
Aye.
Belke.
Aye.
Clistic.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
MacIver.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Brian, you've been appointed. That all of a sudden just dropped. You have been approved. You have to come forward here to be sworn in.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Gay,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Planning and Zoning Commission
Planning and Zoning Commission
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. I need your signature on here, and then this is your card.
Brian, thank you. Thank you very much. I think everyone wants to shake your hand.
Now I can see you two times, huh? Welcome, Brian.
That's the guy that's going to be calling you, too.
Yes,
right
that's
there.
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, Brian. Did you want, you don't have to say any words if you want to, but if you're welcome to, if you want to.
Well, I think I just got about 10 of them out there, but thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to serving.
Okay,
So, I've
thanks.
only lived in town for about 8 months now, but coming from my previous community, I was on planning and zoning for 7 years there. So it's just a nice continuation of the work I was doing before. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Welcome.
When's the next meeting, Dan?
Next Wednesday.
Okay, I don't know if we can get Brian up to speed on that
We'll
meeting?
get him up to speed. I think Brian is probably very familiar with a lot of the situations, and Brian's part of the Choose DuPage group.
Yes,
and,
yes, yes.
For those of you, I probably have an acquaintance with Brian over the last several years, and so I think he'll be able to get right into the position, if you want to say.
Okay,
Yeah, it shouldn't
Okay.
be a problem.
okay. So Dan will get you up to speed. Thanks, Brian. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
everybody.
bye now. Okay, let's move to the city clerk's report.
Just one item, Madam Mayor. Meet and greet will take place with the mayor on Monday, June 20th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall in the upstairs conference room.
City administrator's report.
No report, May Weaver, thank you.
Let's move to department head information. Questions?
Madam Mayor, it's all I have is one item this evening. The ornamental lights, we found out within the last couple days, or actually last night and this morning, that there's going to be an additional test that may be required on the lighting system. And the reason for that is because of the federal government and since this is part of a federal grant, there's an additional test referred to as a luminaire test. So prior to the lights coming out, they need to be tested for the luminaires. We're trying to waive that process. So we, the city, have decided to waive the process. It's a matter of DuPage County waiving it and making sure that the Illinois Department of Transportation, who reports back to the federal government, has the authority to waive that as well. If
How
that's,
long is that going to take?
it could be 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
We just found this out. Like I said, I had an email last night, 9:45 from the engineer.
But if you get it waived, it would be faster?
I'm trying to find out where the lights are at. They were supposed to be delivered today, June 6th, and no one has replied back to me, so I'm waiting for this next answer to come back, and depending on what that is, we'll keep everybody abreast of the situation.
Okay.
Dan, how about the LED streetlights? I know a lot of those are in at the shop. They'll be starting that shortly.
Correct. The LED lights just came in. This is for the other streetlight program throughout through our neighborhoods. The streetlights just came in Friday. We're in the process of Rags Electric, who's the awarded vendor for the installer. He's looking at starting this week. We're gonna be putting it up on the website to which subdivisions they'll be doing. But that will also be starting this week. We have approximately 300 lights that were delivered, and we'll be taking the balance as we go throughout the neighborhoods.
I believe you received a call from Mr. Koopman from the Woodlands regarding these LED
Yes.
lights.
Yes, ironically, the same contractor, they utilize Rags Electric, so we're gonna make sure that was one of the items that there's some specialized lightings, and we wanna make sure that we orchestrated it with the homeowners associations to make sure that everything was matching in accordance with what we're
Okay,
trying to
okay.
do here.
Good, thank you. Yes.
Dan, as I recall, that was eligible for potentially 2 grants, one 25,000, which was sort of a sure thing, and the other was contingent on the state budget probably, so.
Correct, the
So-
25,000 we have, we did receive an extension, we requested an extension, and we're granted the extension till July, I believe it's July 31st. As far as the second one, until the governor signs the budget, we're in a wait-and-see mode, but we still have the opportunity to reapply if and when the budget does get signed and the program is still alive.
Even after the fact.
Yes.
Well, the problem is that the grant cycle has ended. So
Right.
it's also contingent on whether they're going to, even though they didn't get that cycle through, it's contingent on whether or not they offer that grant again.
Correct.
So that ended at the end of May.
And the first $25,000 extension, is that contingent just on us doing the work, so?
Correct.
Okay.
Now it's a matter of the materials and labor.
For the first grant, you mentioned testing. Is that required? Can they come back and say, okay, we don't want to reimburse you for your grant because you didn't do this testing or whatever for the lights? So is that
You're back
considered?
on the ornamental lights for Cass and 75th Street.
Correct.
Correct. That's one of the protocols that we need to make sure through the Illinois Department of Transportation, which checks down in Springfield, Bureau of Materials in this case, to determine what's either referred to as LA-15s, visual inspections, what is sufficient and what isn't. Otherwise, if they have to do a test, I presume that the test is going to be done at the factories along with
Okay.
the engineers there and the lumen.
Like, I'd hate to put them up and then we skip this test and then the
I
grant
agree.
gets refused. So just double checking. So.
Right, and no, we will definitely double check that, yeah.
Is it a lighting level test?
Basically, yes.
They want to ensure that there's proper lighting levels with this, whatever that was selected.
Correct. And it's actually for all the lights, so it's not just the ornamental lights.
Chief Thomas, do you have a report?
No report.
Okay. Let's move on to the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening, I'm requesting council's approval of the last warrant for the last fiscal year, 15-16-26, in the amount of $149,453.76 from the listed funds.
Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Kenny, second by Alderman Belzak. Any discussion? The roll, please.
Kenny?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Belkey?
Aye.
Shower?
Aye.
McIver?
Aye.
Marquez?
Aye.
Clistic?
Aye.
7 ayes.
The warrant has been approved. The next item is warrant.
Warrant for the current fiscal year, 16-17-03, requesting council's approval of funds in the amount of $975,206.87 from the listed funds and payroll for the period ended May 26th in the amount of $274,328.29 for a total to be approved of $1,249,535.16.
Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Discussion? The roll, please.
Shower?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Marquez?
Aye.
McIver?
Aye.
Belkey?
Aye.
Clistic?
Aye.
7 ayes.
That warrant has been approved. Standing committee reports. Alderman Marquez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Municipal Services Committee approved the minutes of the April 27th Municipal Services Committee meeting and submitted those minutes. And our next meeting is June 27th, 2016, at 6:30 here in the council chambers. Although I've been told by Mr. Gombeck that we may be having a special meeting, but we haven't determined that date yet.
Okay. Alderman McIver.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next meeting of the Darien Police Committee will be on Monday, June 20th at 6 p.m. in the Police Department Training Room across the parking lot, pending agenda items.
Thank you. Alderman, yes.
I'm sorry.
Dan?
Yes, Madam Mayor, just to expound on Alderman Marquese's comment regarding that special meeting. That special meeting, if it happens, we're potentially looking at next Monday. It's in regards to the proposed warehouse development on Lamont Road. Currently, we're in a process of waiting for a county sign-off. Our engineering has been completed and reviewed, along with a sound study. There's been some recommendations for that sound study and what else to do to help mitigate it. So again, I just want to let the council know, and we'll also let the residents know if and when that meeting will take place.
It's already been before the Planning and Zoning Committee?
It doesn't have to go to Planning and Zoning Committee. This is a final plan approval, site approval.
Okay, yes.
And the commission or committee? I'm sorry.
For
It's
the
committee.
committee.
It's going to the committee.
It will go to committee, I'm sorry. I
Municipal
just- yes.
Services, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Because there's no variances and no rezoning.
correct.
And Dan, there's some, I think the developer requested, because of some timing issues, so we're trying to expedite for the development to
Yes.
at least get heard before there's any problems with their purchase contract.
And that's exactly it. The reason it's being held for a potential special meeting is due to the developer's request, because I guess he has funding on the line that's contingent upon the sale, and he's already missed, I believe it's 1 or 2 deadlines, and obviously it's because of the wetland review at this point.
Okay. And Alderman Shower?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 4th of July Admin Finance meeting has been canceled, and our next anticipated Admin Finance meeting will be Monday, August 1st at 6 p.m. in our upstairs meeting room.
Thank you. Let's move to questions, comments, and announcements of general nature. Do you have, Alderman Shower, did you have something?
I'm going to go over the revised numbers on the agenda with Dan. So.
Okay, let's do that right now before I open up the floor. We have a number of items on our consent agenda, and I'm trying to find the ones that we have. The item, it's E and F?
I thought it was D and F.
D and F, yes.
It's D and F. Okay, we have some revisions to those numbers?
Yes, if I can refer back to the agenda memo, on the issue statement, the amount should be $191,759.10.
7. The 3 pennies off.
And just to revise the body of the agenda, be in the third background history, in the third paragraph, the $3,833.21 should read $13,805.
75 cents.
75, thank you.
To the penny.
And on the proposed expenditure, we should be at $177,502. Ted?
Total should be 191,759.07.
Correct. .10, but.
Yeah, .10, thank you. You're right.
And then if we refer to the resolution itself,
For F?
same one, that's for D still.
Okay.
The resolution should state $191,759.10, or 759.
191, 795 and 10 cents?
759.10.
Oh, I'm dyslexic.
For cost savings of 46,249.93 versus budget.
All right, what's the number for, we don't have a number in item F. We don't have any number
Yes,
identified in it.
In F, while we don't have,
No.
on
we
the
don't.
agenda memo itself, we do. And that amount, again, on the background history, just in the body of the letters, should be $13,805.75 versus the $3382.41. There's no additional numbers within the resolution itself. It is on a unit cost.
All right. Yes, Alderman McGarrett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, I want to take exception to items B, C, and D on the new business agenda. The
B, C, and D?
B, C, and D, yeah. Those are the stormwater.
Oh, wait a minute, we're talking the regular,
Well, it's the whole agenda, isn't it?
that's under new business.
Right, right.
Oh,
Oh,
you're-
you're talking new business first?
I
Okay.
was just looking at the consent
Okay.
agenda at this point. Okay.
Sorry, I will wait.
Okay, so you'll take, your vote you will decide on your vote at that point, correct?
Yeah, I just would
Okay.
like to
There'll be
make a
period for
comment.
comment at
Yeah.
that point, yeah.
Okay, Let's move to old business, and there being no old business, I'll move right to the consent agenda. And there are so many items on the consent agenda this evening, items A through M. I would ask everyone in the audience here to look at the agenda memo, and for the viewing audience to check out what the items are on the website. Too lengthy, really, for me to read each one of them, but I would like to ask for a motion to approve the items A through M on the consent agenda. Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman McIver, with the changes to item D. The roll, please.
Shower,
Aye.
McIver,
Aye.
Marquez,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
7 ayes.
The items have been approved. Let's move to new business. Item A is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an amendment to the city administrator's agreement between the city of Darien and Bryan Viana. Motion to approve, Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Any discussion? Alderman Kenny?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My point is, I think Brian has done a good job as an administrator. I don't believe, I'm not in agreement with the merit bonus. I think there's if things were great and everything was, hunky-dory, I think you'd do it. I also think that it's hard for me to raise fuel tax and raise fuel or food and beverage tax in 1 month and then turn around and give a merit bonus to some staff the following month. So based on those principles, I'm a no.
And what was that merit amount?
The merit amount was, what was it? $2,100.
$2,100. Alderman Belkey?
I have a question with how this is written. Should the deferred compensation be part of this language?
No, the deferred comp is covered in another section that's based on the salary.
Okay,
So that
so it
is
doesn't
not
have to be
pertaining-
as
that
part of the...
percentage is not changing. It's, if the salary changes, the agreement's already written to change that deferred
Okay.
comp, yes.
Okay, and then I wanted to give a little background on this to some of the viewing audience. And like Alderman Kenny has stated, I was also having a problem with this merit because the compensation that our administrator gets is 3 pieces. It's a salary, it's a deferred compensation, which is about 11%, and then there's this merit. And the merit wasn't always there. It was there for some years, and then it was taken away, and then it was just brought back last year. So last year I voted no, and I was against the concept because I thought that he had a different structure in that he shouldn't be really tied to the other structure since he was getting this deferred compensation. However, as I went through some of these numbers, it's the deferred the merit is really about 1% of the total of the salary, so we're not talking huge dollars here. And what I did is I looked at the last 5 years for his raises, and it's been 1.5% over 5 years. 2 of those years he had zero increase.
Because he asked for that.
Right, because he asked for that. So the other thing to consider is how he's getting paid with other administrators in the community. So Brian put together a list of, I think there was 7 other communities. And when we met in our session, we also talked about some of the fair ways to look at this approach. And one of the things that the Illinois Municipal, what's that acronym?
IML?
Yeah, yes.
IML?
They look for, it's kind of a little biased thing, but they also look for population as one of the components for salary. And so I added a little column from the 2010 census population to make sure that he's still reasonable within the community and the size of communities. There's other things to consider, such as what kind of challenges the cities is facing. So, obviously you want somebody that's very seasoned and very experienced if you're having difficulty or if difficulty is to come. And I think that that's one of the components here is, we're going to have some challenging years, just being creative with funds and everything. So back to the census, there is a community, Lyle, that is pretty much the same population as Darien, and we are right in line with that, spot on. As far as averages go, we're under the average of these communities, and we're only third from the top, and there's a big gap between the second and third. So after, as much as I don't like the merit concept, as a total compensation package, I felt that 1.5% was not unreasonable. So I would say yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Mayor, I guess just to clarify one, I mean, it's in the information for the council, just so the public knows if they don't have the background and they're just, if they don't have this in front, but they're listening. What's included in this is what the same, that it was given to non-contractual employees this year. So the merit component and the 175 is the same that we're given to non-contractual employees. And also the, the merit amount was the same. And the deferred comp, other employees have that benefit, but just at a different level, just so the public understands, what this means in terms of what other employees are getting. It's in the same ballpark.
Any other questions? Then the roll, please.
Shower,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Kenny,
No.
Marquez,
Aye.
MacGyver,
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 nay.
Thank you to the city council. Thank you.
Then next item under new business is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing a private property development stormwater management assistance project for 2988 Drover Lane in an amount not to exceed $6,500. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belzak? Seconded by Alderman Belke. Discussion.
I'm up.
Up.
So as we know from our
Budget.
budget discussions, I'll make one comment that's going to be kind of, covering items B, C, and D in the new business agenda. So those 3 projects are all private property stormwater projects that I believe the city, given the financial state of the state of Illinois, given the fact that it's on private property, we're making these improvements and using taxpayer funds to make significant dollar improvements on private properties. And I think that program should go away from the city's perspective. These 3 projects add up to over $41,000, of which the city's share is almost $29,000. So 6 residents will benefit from this, and the city will be picking up 70% of the cost of those 3 projects that are coming up. And I think that's just, if there was something that was more even-handed, that more residents might be able to participate in, but, we're basically, I don't know where we are with respect, we're probably halfway with other projects. Where are we at, Dan, with respect to what's left in the budget for these projects? 41,000's a big bite out of it.
Out of the 41,000, I would say our budget was $72,500.
And some have already come up before this.
All the projects are in progress. One just got completed recently. So bottom line is we're at about 40,000. If it's not, it'd be close to $45,000,
Of the 70.
that's obligated from the city.
Right. So, like I said, almost 29,000. We're talking about residents that contact us to do more city beautification or decorations, citywide that everyone can enjoy. And here we're, dropping almost 29,000 for 6 properties. And one's in my ward, so I'm not, discriminating against other wards. So that's just, I wanted to make sure that
You're on the
was-
record.
Yeah, on the record.
Okay. Alderman Marquez?
Just a clarification, and this is not to counter Alderman MacGyver. Just historically, there has been a rear yard drainage program that's been on for a number of years already. So while there are 3 projects listed on this agenda, we've had numerous projects over what, Dan, last 4, 5, 6 years maybe?
Even more. I would say within the last 8 for sure. Definitely. 10 would not be a far outreach either.
So I mean, it's not as if this is something new this year. This is something that we've had going on. So while it's 3 residents or X amount of residents on this agenda, there have been numerous residents who have had their backyard drainage issue fixed as a result of this program. And the thing to consider, and I think Alderman MacGyver makes some very legitimate points. At the same time, as the agenda memos addresses it, a lot of these projects are in backyards where it's hard to cut the grass. It ruins structures that may be in those backyards. It's a mosquito attraction area. So, and it really keeps some of these residents from being able to beautify or upkeep their property. So there is some legitimacy, or a lot of legitimacy in my mind, on approving these projects for that reason. I just wanted to add that.
Well, I think Alderman MacGyver's on the record. This isn't the first time she's brought up the issue.
The one
She's
thing
been
that
outgoing.
is different is we've ratcheted up to a new level this year.
Correct,
And
correct.
so the drainage projects could be much larger in magnitude, of which the city is still picking up 70%. 70, 63, 71, and, you know, of these three, 70% of it.
Well, the other caveat to this also is a letter is sent out to all the residents that are affected by this issue, asking them to join in
Right.
to the project. And how often do residents not help their neighbor?
Well,
and
but that doesn't
contribute?
change our commitment.
I
side.
agree, I
We're still
agree.
picking up the same chunk,
yeah.
regardless of how many all it does is make the, you know, if more people share in that, their piece goes down, but the city's does not.
Correct.
Also, one quick comment I want to mention as well in my ward. There is a resident that has the drainage that goes to the front of the property. And last year, they had a lady who was walking, tripped and fell and hurt her hip, and actually sued the homeowner. So I think if it's a drainage issue, we have also some personal responsibility as well to correct it. So in this scenario, this was been an issue for over 10 years talking to residents, and it finally got taken care of this year. Not necessarily part of this drainage issue, but with rear drainage, in certain instances, people can, depending on where it's getting drained at, could be affected as well. And
You said it's in the front, was it out on the
correct,
sidewalk?
and the sidewalk,
It
correct.
sounded
So
like a
usually,
sump pump. It
Well,
sounded like a
yeah.
sump
Sump
pump.
drain.
That was the homeowner then,
correct,
responsible.
but they
also-
couldn't drain it in the back because it's not fixable. They don't have enough to pay
Oh.
for it. So right, so they jury rig something to the front of the property that goes on the sidewalk. Someone trips and falls. Someone ends up in the hospital, and the homeowner ends up getting sued under insurance. So what I'm saying is, people will find other ways to drain their backyards if you don't get it right fixed the first time and correctly as well.
And unfortunately, and there's several areas throughout town like this, in this specific block, the drainage goes from the backyard
Which
to the front
block
yard.
we're talking about?
This is Sawyer.
Oh, Sawyer. Oh, his area.
Right,
Oh, okay.
7600 block, or 7700 block of Sawyer. The drainage goes from east to west. So whatever the residents do on that block, they have no other option but to drain it to the front. So in this case, it still was a rear yard drainage project, except the work to the front of the house versus the back. Same concept.
We had an injury because of it. So
We did, right?
Well, and that brings up another point, the liability issue. Now the city's touching these projects. So what happens if, God forbid, something happens, with some of these projects where someone is hurt or injured or whatever, and then the city's on the hook because they're the ones that touch these projects. And, we're constantly citing other residents, get your roof fixed, do this, do that. And, people come back and say, I can't afford to get a new roof. So where's the city's participation in that? Where they're getting mold, they're having, so it's just, I think it's just, we're getting into some gray areas that I think are inappropriate for a public government that is using taxpayer funds to support these projects.
Alderman Belke?
My comment, as far as roofing goes and that's personal property, and that's somebody's house, so that's different than the site that will be handed over time and time and again for residents. And these situations are sometimes on an easement. So in one particular case that's on our agenda tonight, this resident lived with this problem for decades and wasn't able to do anything. So by providing this easement to the city and having this available, they're finally able to take that step to improve their property, and this will let them actually spend money on the garage that's been deteriorating. The other thing is, I have to say that the first thing that happened to me when I came on board here is Alderman Galan sat down with me. He was very sweet and, kind of transitioned me with some of the old maps that he had and everything. And one of the things that stuck in my mind the most was a map that he gave me of the city and how much water we were built on. There's creeks, there was just, this map just had blue everywhere. So to me, it's part of what we were built on, and I think, you know, as a whole community, that's just the facts. We have a lot of water, and I think that this just helps everybody in the end.
Well, and especially your ward. We inherited so much from the county. They allowed so much to be done in those waterways. We still have a huge project, you know, at Sawmill Creek in your ward again. That, I mean, that's millions of dollars we're talking about. So you're right, you're spot on with that what you just mentioned.
And it's tough for me in a standpoint that my profession is, you know, residential property, and knowing a homeowner has got to be able to have their home in a great condition and be able to sell it. But I can't disagree with Alderman McIver's, you know, stance on it. I was with her when the first time this came around, and I'm going to be with her this time as well.
We are still on item B, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, the roll, please.
Belkey,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Kenny,
No.
Marquez,
Aye.
McIver,
No.
Shower,
Aye.
5 ayes and 2 nays.
The motion has been approved. Item C is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing a private property development stormwater management assistant project for 705, 709, and 713 70th Street and 714 Maple in an amount not to exceed $16,152. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belzak, seconded by Alderman Belke. Discussion? The roll, please.
Belzak,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Kenny,
No.
Marquez,
Aye.
McIver,
No.
Shower,
Aye.
5 ayes and 2 nays.
The motion has been approved. Item D is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing a private property development stormwater management assistance project for 125 Holly Avenue in an amount not to exceed $18,500. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belzak, seconded by Alderman Shower. Discussion? The roll, please.
Belzak,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
Kenny,
No.
Marquez,
Aye.
McIver,
No.
5 ayes and 2 nays.
The motion has been approved. Item E is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing or accepting a stormwater easement for the following, for the property of 125 Holly Avenue. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Shower, second by Alderman Belzak. Discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any financial obligation on the part of the city following this?
The easement?
Yep.
No, the easement is entirely paid by the residents. $850 in this specific case.
Anything else? The roll, please.
Shower,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Belkey,
Aye.
McIver,
Aye.
Marquez,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Clistic,
Aye.
7 ayes.
The motion has been approved. The next item on the agenda is questions, comments, and announcements of a general nature. Do any of the aldermen have announcements? Alderman Marquez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just a reminder to the council and the elected officials that if you haven't completed your 4th of July write-up for the Darien Lions Club for the committee, please get that completed and get that off to Bill Christensen, who is the chairperson for the committee this year.
I'd like to open it to the floor. And does anyone in the audience want to address the city council on any item? Then the roll, please. The roll, listen to me. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Alderman McIver, seconded by Alderman Shower. All in favor?
Aye.
Got my script on the back. He was so cute. No, do you want to stick around? No. No, no. All I wanted to do was go home.
Microphone's on.